when did you start buying leads?
Okay, I did the math. I'm like, I can buy X amount of leads. I can expect X amount of conversions. I can expect X amount of renewal years. This is highly profitable. The point I'm making is delayed gratification. It's like, this is where I need to invest. And I'm glad I did. So I bought as many leads as I could, man. And it worked.
It's the only way you can build legacy, you can build wealth, is to have that delayed gratification.
I never believed that I could own a freaking building, right? Like that's 10 years ago, that's crazy. Now I have two, right?
How easy is it to get into the independent world?
To be quite frank, it's extremely difficult to start an agency.
All right, the craziest thing that's ever happened to me in my agency of 20 years, one day I had hired the CSR. She was a front desk clerk, and bless her heart, she was really new into the game, and I'm all about training people and educating people. And I said, look, I need you to go shred this bunch of papers, right? So, we don't have a shredder. We have a shredder box, all right? So what she did was she threw the papers in there and she was wondering, why isn't it shredding? And I said, darling, my love, it's not an actual shredder. It's a machine. It's a box where somebody will pick it up and then take it to the shredder. And so we had a great time about that. And she was just like, oh my God. So hey, my name is Kash Fadaie. I'm in the insurance business. I own Fadaie Insurance Services, and I'm really thrilled to be with y'all.
Boom! Boom! And you're an insurance dude.
And I'm
Official
an insurance dude,
dude.
100% to the core.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man.
So good to have you. Thank you. It's awesome. You bring great energy. Why don't you tell folks your story? How'd you get into the business? You've been in it a long time now.
Absolutely.
It's wild when you start saying 20 years, right? Isn't it crazy?
You know what, man? Time flies, as we all know, right?
Yeah.
Look, I started my first business when I was 13, cutting lawns in Florida. I've always been business oriented. I had souvenir shops, surf shops in St. Pete Beach. I've had produce stands. I've done a bunch of stuff. I got into real estate and car business. And throughout my journey, all of these wonderful things that I ventured into, they culminated into more experience, more know-how. And I love people. I love people. I'm good at, helping people make good decisions. So in 2004, I was kind of looking around for something, a change. I had just gotten out of the car business, learned a lot there. And I looked at insurance. I'm like, what? I didn't even know what insurance, what is insurance? And what do you do there? I mean, if it's
Right.
sales oriented, I'll do it. So I got my license. I got hired at Allstate in Temecula, California. And I got in there, and it was life insurance, and it was like a little too slow for me. I'm like, you know what? I need to get some action going. So the guy's like, look, get your PNC license, property and casualty, and then you can sell, you can get into auto and home. So I did that. I went to, school, got my second license, aced it, whatever. I got through it. And I get into the PNC world of Allstate. This is before Katrina. And I crushed it as a producer, just making an hourly wage, but I was learning the business. And the guy's like, dude, how do you do it? I go, it's pretty easy. You just have to connect with people. So Allstate then at that point offered me a store, if you will, but Katrina happened. So I wasn't really, the writing was on the wall, so to speak. So I was like, you know what? I think I want to be an independent. I'd heard about independent agencies. So an opportunity came up with Brook Insurance. It was a franchisor. And since I didn't have appointments, I didn't have capital, I didn't have anything. I had a dream, I had faith, I had hard work. I took the opportunity. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Let's do it. So I did it. I opened my first franchise in 2006. And that's, as you guys know, 2007 and 2008 is when the credit crunch happened in the United States,
Mm.
and the franchisor went belly up. Now, here's what happened. This is beautiful. I did so well in the franchise. I was like on their magazine. It was Brook Insurance, it was called. And they went belly up. I wasn't getting commissions. This is 2008 now. And they're like, okay, you're not getting commissions. You know, we have trouble going on. But here's what happened. The reps that would visit me, the, carrier reps, they enjoyed our interaction. They loved my production. So they just gave me direct codes. And in 2009, I launched Fadaie Insurance. And so I always make a joke. I say I left the brook and into the ocean, so to speak, because I had, yeah. So I created this freedom, right? So 2009 is when I became a full independent insurance agency, and the rest is history. So that's how I got into the business, and I've been doing it ever since, and I love it.
That's awesome. So you built your agency from scratch, independent, and with no previous appointments, in the P&C world, which is difficult to do with the commissions. A little bit easier when you're hawking some life insurance and you get those bigger payments. But yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so the franchise situation, they gave me subcodes.
Okay.
So yeah, so they gave me subcodes. So I got that was one of the perks for joining that group, right? So they gave me Travelers, they gave me Safeco, they gave me some good, robust carrier appointments, and that's how I got in relationship with the reps, and the carriers got to know, hey, this guy's producing business. He's doing pretty good. He's writing good business. He's consistent, and I was hustling. And the way I did that, and we'll talk about this, if it comes up, was through the use of buying leads, and I did that exclusively. And I worked car dealerships for non-standard business, but regardless, I was producing. So once they got to know me for that 1 or 2 years, and when Brooke went belly up, the franchisor, I asked for my own appointment, and because they knew me already, they knew my character, my cadence, if you will. They're like, yeah, we'll give you your own code. So it was a huge blessing in disguise. It worked out really well for me. That's how I got my
That
foot
is
in the
awesome.
door. Yeah.
So so you kind of started with some policies.
I was a scratch agency. So the way I started that whole thing, I was single at the time. I had no liabilities. I was just
Mm.
full of energy and like, I want to make this happen, right?
Yeah.
So here's what I used to do. First of all, I was in the middle of all you know how dealerships all kind of get together and there's like an auto mall area.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
My office, so my office was right there, nestled in there, right? So what I did was I would go to a donut shop and I would buy like 10 dozens of donuts, right? And I would figure out when these guys and gals had their meetings, right? And I would get in with the GM and the managers because I was in the car business. Remember, I told you that I was in the car business, so I
Yeah.
understand the car game. So I would
Yeah.
just give these guys and gals donuts. I would leave stuff, and within a couple of weeks, man, they would just drive clients over to my office. Right? They
Oh,
would just
that's
drive
awesome.
them. Yeah,
It's
drive
the
them
last
over.
thing to
Come.
close their deal, right? They're like, oh yeah.
Exactly. So I would just write them up. I had non-standard carriers and preferred carriers. Some of them were preferred. They just, they were paying too much. They wanted a second opinion. So I'm like, yeah, Travelers was kicking butt at the time. So I would just rewrite them or whatever. And so that's how I got in. And once I got in like that for a little while, the homeowners started coming in, right? It's like, hey, man, I really
Mm.
like this guy. He did my auto. Can you do my home? I'm like, of course I can do your home. I'd love to do your home. Let me do your home. Home. Then rentals started coming in. Then umbrellas started coming in. Our earthquakes started coming in. And then eventually we parlayed into commercial. And then that started to come in. I started doing some bops. So that's kind of how I kind of crawled my way up. But I would just show up and be consistent with that strategy, and it worked. The second thing I did was I would buy net quote leads. At the time, they were like, I don't know, $6, something very inexpensive. And so my strategy with that was, because I was single, I would literally work those leads like 4 in the morning. I would work them really early in the morning, and I would just sit there and crank out quotes and just send them left and right. I was a one-man show. I had no CSRs, no assistants, nothing. And so that was my second stream of pipeline. These people started coming out of the woodworks. I'm like, yeah, I'm interested. And I would quote them. And so with those two modalities, I started that agency and started producing business. It's
Super cool.
yeah.
So
And
I
I
love
didn't
it,
even,
man.
I didn't even have enough money to, I didn't have much at all, man. I just had faith
Right.
and hard work. And
You know, at the
so,
beginning, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
But at the beginning, there's the hustle, right? And you're all filled with, for lack of a better say, piss and vinegar, right? Like you're ready to freaking do it. And you don't realize, like, I think we all start and we're just hustling. We're like, I'll grind. And you don't realize that there is a point where the burnout happens and you can't, it's not sustainable, right? When did that like occur to you that, oh man, I get it that I could hustle to a certain point, but in order to scale, I need other people. Like it's
Dude,
impossible, right?
that was a pivotal moment, man. And you're absolutely right. So once service related stuff started coming in, right? Because you can write a bunch of stuff, right?
Kryptonite.
Yeah, you're writing all this stuff, it's great, but people need customer service because this is a retention game, right? You got to bring
Yeah.
value. So you can't just sell on that service. So once I figured that out, I'm like, okay, this is cutting down on my production time, and there's only so much energy, right? I gotta figure this out. When that moment dawned on me, I was like, okay, I need helpers. And what I did was to keep everything, overhead as low as possible so I could profit more and invest more in leads. What I did,
Mm.
I hired honor students from a local high school, several local high schools, and they were free. They were free. They were high school seniors. They were 4.0 students. They were very astute. I hired as many as I could. And out of the bunch that I hired, most of them just wanted the grade, but they would do work for me, right? It was all kosher. They would do work for me, they would do whatever. So that was help. But out of the 18 that I hired and left, 3 of them stayed after high school. And they were interested.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah. They were interested in the career of insurance. So with those, after a while, I put them on payroll. I was like, okay, I can afford that. These people have shown their true colors. They've hustled. They're exceptional. And they actually they like this business. They want to do this. So as you know, this business is a master to student tradition, right? So I basically I got them licensed. I taught them the business, and they stayed with me, and then they became CSRs. And so it was justified at that point because cash flow was better. But that's how I got my helpers. And at
How
that
far
point,
in?
I would within 2 years. So
Yeah.
2006. So I would say 2011. All of that stuff started
Couple million
happening.
in premium, right? You get to
Yep.
3 million in premium and you're like, oh shit, I can't do this.
No way. Not if you want to keep people happy.
You want to keep it going. Yeah.
You want to keep ascending, and you want to have that word of mouth still come in, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
people, because what are we selling? We're selling credibility. We're selling agility. We're selling trust, integrity. You got to pick up your phones, dude. You can't. I don't believe in voice. It shouldn't go to voicemail. I'm here. That's what's up. Let's go. I persuaded you to trust me and buy from me. I'm here for you.
Mm.
What's up? This is my
Right.
this is look, our product is only tangible in two areas. One, service. That's where we come in. Two,
Yep.
claims, which we
Yep.
also parlay into the claims department and make sure that people are connecting with each other and that there's no missed calls. That's it. So if I'm
Yeah.
not doing that, then I'm not going to be legendary. And my dream,
Yep.
guys, was to be legendary. It wasn't to be like a half-ass broker like many of them out there. No, it was like, I want to be exceptional. I want to excel. You trusted me. This is my integrity. This is my reputation. So yeah, once you get a couple million, it's like, no, we need to continue this send. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Totally.
So
Totally.
that's where.
So when did you start? Sorry.
No, go ahead. You go ahead, Jason.
Okay. When did you start buying leads?
Buying leads happened right from the get-go, man. Right in 2006, besides the car dealership
Mm-hmm.
outreach that I did, which was boots on the ground, it was immediate. The reason why I started buying leads, I learned that from my Allstate agency that I used to produce for. See? So he was
They were
doing
doing that?
that, and I was like, this works. I mean, I was doing it at Allstate. Why don't I just do it here? So I put here's the key. I want to preface this.
Yeah.
And I this is what I find a lot of agents and brokers perhaps not doing is, I put most of my profits back into the agency.
Mm.
I realized this is an asset. This business is my cash cow. I control this business. Therefore, it's a safe risk because I have more controls. It's not the stock market. It's
Yep.
more of an investment for me because this is an asset that I have control of. I'm the guy, I'm the key guy. So I said,
Yep.
I need to put most of my profits into the agency. And since there's a residual aspect to our business, I'm like, okay, I did the math. I'm like, I can buy X amount of leads. I can expect X amount of conversions. I can expect X amount of renewal years. This is highly
Mm-hmm.
profitable. Not to mention the bundling that comes with it, right? And
Yep.
so,
And bonuses.
and bonuses, right?
Yeah.
Profit sharing, right? So I lived modestly, guys. And as a matter of fact, I would sometimes stay in the office. I'd go to Gold's Gym, clean up, get back into the office, right? I didn't need anything fancy. Eventually I rented a room and eventually I got, but here's the point. The point I'm making is delayed gratification.
Dude.
100%.
Delayed gratification. It's like,
Dude,
this is where I need to invest. And I'm glad I did. And so I bought as
you,
many leads as I could, man. And it worked. I increased the
that's so
volume.
good.
Yeah, I increased the volume,
You know,
and it worked.
so it's crazy to me. First off, I see a lot of like insurance agents, especially when I first started, that almost wore it as pride that they didn't buy leads. Oh, it's all from, referrals or something like that. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you want to like pour gas on it? But the point that I think that you are making is such a key point. It's like it you could take the money that your agency makes, pull it out, give a huge portion to the government, and then you put it in the stock market, which are companies that you don't control, so that you can get a measly couple percent,
And
maybe
pay
4%,
more taxes when you take it back out.
and then
If
pay
you're-
more taxes. It's a race to the bottom.
Right.
Building wealth and I love what you said earlier, legacy, to have legacy and to have that delayed gratification. It's the only way you can build legacy, you can build wealth, is to have that delayed gratification. But yeah, why not invest in yourself? It's your own business. Like,
That's it. That's it, man.
I don't know. You probably haven't seen this thing, but I love the math and I love the numbers and I do all kinds of things on the spreadsheets. And like we did one where we look at doing the system the way you describe it. We have that same thing, and and doing the math on it, like taking your profits instead
Sure.
of taking it out, paying taxes, snowballing it versus the market. I mean, you break even in the stock market after 5 years if you get 8% every year after taxes, right? Like you, with the taxes you have to pay on the year you take it out, like you end up breaking even. It takes 5 years to break even. But if you pour gas in your agency, it's like half the time you're at 250% ROI. So it's like, it's just no brainer.
It's
Like,
a no-brainer.
Crazy.
I mean, it's such a secret sort of a asset class that, and I mean, it's kind of a good and bad. I mean, it's never, not everybody's flooding into it. That's the good part. But the bad part
They're
is that
flooding out of it.
right. But you're absolutely right, man. You both unpacked that so well, and that's what dawned on me. It's like, wait a minute, this is the sky's the limit here. You know, I can. This is so profitable that I can get a lender to lend to. I can leverage on this. A specialized lender can look at my agency and say, "Here's a couple $1 million, dude." Like
Right.
that tells you how legitimate this is. And
Dude,
it's
private
like,
equity buys agencies.
boom. And guys, these are not dumb
people.
people. These are not dumb people,
Right.
right? They're not going to willy-nilly give you money, right? They're like, yeah, we get this. This is awesome, right? They do their numbers like, yeah, this is great. We'll give you money. We'll leverage. We'll help you grow your agency if you want to. But that just proves our point, is that I think it's a mindset, Jason, and I think it's a mindset,
100%.
and I think wealth is a mindset, and a lot of folks that don't have that mindset, there's a scarcity mentality to that, and so it's they operate differently, right? But if you study the habits of millionaires in every sector of life, these are consistent habits. And if you don't have to have crazy DNA, you just have to mimic those habits. And if you do, with YouTube, and we have information everywhere, it's coming from everywhere. This information is immutable. It's immutable. If you study those habits that we're describing, you can create that. But only thing is, you're going to have to want that. You have to have the vision for that. If that's what you want, well, you follow the habits and you can get there. Of course, there's a lot of other things involved. It takes a lot of effort, but it's doable, and it's possible, and it's amazing.
But
Absolutely.
it's funny. It's like everything's hard. So it's hard to be a broke insurance agent.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be a hustling insurance agent. So guaranteed it's going to be hard. And if it's hard in the front, usually it's easy in the back. And if it's easy in the front, it's usually hard in the back. But the easy in the front isn't that easy when you don't have any money.
That's what she said.
Well put. You know what?
I don't know who said that.
100%. It's like, look, they're both going to be stressful. Pick the one. It's inevitable, right? Hardship is inevitable. Pick the one that's going to give you a tenfold gain. And you understand that the hardship, quote unquote, is a necessary component to when you arrive at a certain place in the future, when you do it right, where you, in retrospect, realize, hell yeah, I'm glad I went through that hardship. I was perceiving it as hardship. Here's where I am today. I have more mobility. I have more freedom now. I'm an investor now.
Yep.
And I wouldn't change it for the world, because I needed those freaking lessons of hardship.
Yeah.
That's
the only
right
time when you learn. The only way you learn is by getting beat up, right?
Only way.
It's I remember, we're so limited by our own beliefs, right? Like, I never believed that I could own a freaking building, right? Like, that's 10 years ago, that's crazy. Now I have 2, right? And it's like, and each time was like, oh, well, maybe I should buy. And it's like, do the math. Instead of just like thinking emotionally and being scarcity about my money, it's like, do the math. Wait, I'm paying somebody rent, or I could pay the same amount and collect rent from somebody else and I own it. I'm building an asset, right? Just like the agency. And it's
Beautiful.
like, you never think you could do it. Oh, then you never think you can get another one. I mean, that's crazy. Then boom, it's like you just put the pieces together.
Yeah, and it builds on each other, right? Once you start
Yeah.
making the right decisions in the beginning of that first phase of your journey, then things start to fall in place and creativity increases, right?
Yeah.
There's more creative ideas, and now you have the mobility to do those things. And so
Not
it
scared.
exactly less fear, more confidence, more
Yeah.
courage, and more execution, because
Yep.
you have that freedom now. You have the means to. So it's sort of this delicious cycle versus the vicious cycle,
Oh
right? The
yeah.
vicious cycle is that complacency, fear, whatever, and it's a mindset and it's an internal thing. And then the delicious cycle is, no, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get through it. I'm gonna delay gratification for a while. I'm gonna get to these gains. Now, when you're there, you have a self-fulfilling prophecy. You have validation now. Now you're like, okay, yeah, I'm on the right rhythm. I'm on the right cadence. And now
Right.
more opportunities come, more dynamism, more bliss, more joy, more. Sure, there's going to be hardship, but now you don't look at hardship the same way. You look at it,
Right.
oh, it used to be my foe. Now it's my friend, because that's my
Yeah.
next graduation point. Let's go. Come on. I
Yeah.
can take this because I've done it before. I can do it again. This is probably really good for me. I'm learning something here. So the perspective changes, and this is how wealth is created. It's a mindset for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Love it.
Fear of losing the money or spending on the wrong, all those fears like prevent you from any growth. And I mean, I had it forever. So anybody listening, if you are afraid to invest in your own agency, it's okay, right? Like, I mean, that's normal to have the fear, but you have to step
Totally.
through the fear. You have to.
Here's the secret though. If
Yeah.
you're not investing in yourself, you really are. Every second of the day, you are yourself, and you are investing every second of your day into whatever you're doing. So if you're not doing anything, you're investing in not doing anything. And we all know what not doing anything gets you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you can't avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
There's only two options,
I love your
So
point on that. It's the same. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful point. No matter what, you're investing.
yep.
Yeah.
So you may as well invest in something that is proven to work. Many have done it, and you can make that choice right now and do it. You have the
Yeah.
freedom to, but nobody can make you do it. It's your choice. You got to do it. Now, what helps with that? Get around the right people. Talk to people who've done it. Surround yourself with people that have done it. Like this podcast, the stuff you're putting out. Like, what are you listening to? What's going in here? What's going in here? What's going in what are you consuming on a daily basis? If you're consuming a bunch of scarcity, dude, you're gonna make you're not gonna make you're gonna make scarcity decisions. But if you're
Right.
willing to come out of that comfort zone a little bit, right? Talk to other people who are doing it, who have a story to share. Like, tune into some of these things. What are you doing with your time? You have 24 hours a day. What are you doing with it? Subject yourself to things like where people have done it, glean, absorb, and now you have more confidence, and now perhaps you'll come out of your comfort zone a little bit, and you'll go ahead and do that anyways. But surround yourself with people, listen to the right things, hear the right things, eat the right things, make good decisions, keep making good decisions. All the good decisions you make will result in better decisions. It's just the way
Even
it
the
is.
Yeah.
poor ones. I mean, even the bad ones, you learn, right? Like I love
Exactly.
I don't know who says it, but I love the whole notion of it's tuition, right? It's not like, oh, I lost 20 grand or I lost 5,000 on those leads. It's like, no, I learned something, right? Like I learned, don't go there. Don't use that or whatever it is, right? Don't do it this way. Like you're going to
I
learn.
think it's totally. It's like nature's gracious way of saying, "Don't touch the hot stove." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that. That's not good. Ow. Okay. The physiology is like, yo, don't do that. What feels?
Right.
This is good. Okay. So it's like hint, hint, right? But you're right,
Yeah.
man. Even the so-called bad decisions are actually some of the best decisions when we unpack it and go, okay, yeah, that was a good lesson, dude. I'm not doing that anymore, right? I'm going
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
way, right? So it's all good. But the point though is that stop making the wrong decisions, right? Like there's got to come a time where it's like, yeah, this is not good. I comprehend this, and I'm going to make better decisions now, right? And some people get that, and the moment they get that, it's like, okay, we're going to the races now. We're going to grow now. Some people
Mhm.
keep making those mistakes, and that's when things get a little bit, well, if you ask yourself, why am I not growing? It's possible you're making the same decisions. You're not
Yeah.
Yeah.
getting beyond. You're not transcending.
Well, it goes to the point that you were making earlier that your inputs shape your outputs. So if you are making the wrong decisions continually, it just has to do with whatever inputs you're putting into your mind. I mean, I think they said isn't it 60 to 6, we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a
Mm-hmm.
day. And
Yes.
if that's the case, I mean, we only make so many like consciously, right? The other ones are subconscious. So which means if we're watching the wrong stuff, if we're around the wrong people and they're saying the wrong stuff, I mean, even though we don't mean to follow it, our brain is spinning on that stuff. And so that's what comes out. Like it's kind of
100%.
basic
It's
in a
very
way.
it's very straightforward, and that's exactly right. It's you're basically going to have the same results because you have the same patterns of thought.
Yeah.
So you're basically doing the same thing every day and expecting different results, and that's just not going to happen. Now,
Yeah.
getting around the right people is one thing. Subjecting yourself to the right things is another thing. Another clutch thing that I did, and I did this in 1998, because we're talking about thoughts. I went and learned meditation.
Oh man.
And
Mm.
Now you're talking my
yeah,
language.
and in 1998, I learned meditation, and that was a technique that basically helped me kind of go to the source of thought. And
Mm.
from that time, um, after about a year of practicing this meditation technique, which caused me to be calmer, I was able to generate new thoughts. I had different patterns. It opened me up to a complete new realm of possibilities. And the people that I hung out with now, they were also meditators, right? So they were
Right.
interesting. Yeah. And they were positive and they were out of the box, if you will. And so I kept up that practice. I learned transcendental meditation, in Florida, and I kept it up. And I've been meditating for 25 years. And I got to tell you guys, if somebody
Life
said, "Hey,
changing.
what's the single most effective thing you've ever done in your life or career?" It was the practice of learning how to meditate, and that's
Hmm.
given me fresh thoughts, different thoughts, and that's what's kind of giving me the confidence. So it does kind of, if we're kind of going deeper now into the conversation, it's like, yeah, well, what are your thoughts? Are you observing your
Yeah.
thoughts? And that's kind of what
Yeah.
meditation does. It helps you kind of observe what's going on in here, because a lot
It
of it, dude, you're not even scrutinizing it. It's like
right.
malware. It's like programs. It's
Yeah.
like it's running in the background.
The amount of awareness that it creates and then the surprise that you have once you realize the bullshit that you're constantly
Oh
doing,
man,
it's remarkable, right? Like when you
Rem-
become the I instead of the me, and man, game
it's
changing, right?
paramount.
It's like,
But in this world too, think about it. Only 5% are crushing it. The other 95 are failing, right? Or doing not as, not even close, right?
Right.
So it's very easy to fall in with the wrong crowd because it's the 95%. So that's what you have to like. I mean, I was with, all the people in the market, and it's like there's some great agents, but most, right? Not crushing it. And you end up, it's like the race to the bottom when you're complaining about everything versus who cares, can't control it. Let me focus on what I can do. Right. And
well, I
that's,
think
yeah.
I think part of that is this whole conversation is just about being ultra intentional
Hmm. Hmm.
about what you want, and then taking that time, like meditation, taking that time to, because we were talking earlier about really working hard, right? Really working hard in our agency. But we do need that time to be able to clear our mind and think about what we're doing so we can be ultra intentional and to make sure that we're still going to make the right decisions when we're hustling, whether it's 12 hours a day or 4 hours, whatever it may be, in whatever phase that you're in. But
yeah, I mean, guys, this, as you know, this journey we're on as entrepreneurs and insurance dudes, this, make no mistake about it, this takes an enormous amount of effort. And it's mental, physical, financial, emotional, spiritual, familial, every aspect. So to your point, we need to manage our energy because we have energy, but where is it going? Because it takes effort, we need to have certain routines, I believe, and humbly speaking. For me, I need to have certain ceremonies, if you will, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, whatever that may be for you. It could be anything. But for me, there's certain things I have to do in the morning. There's certain things I have to put into my body. Whatever, maybe it's not eating, maybe it's fasting, which I love to do. But there's certain things I have to do because I decided I wanted to be extraordinary, ultra, like Jason said. So if I want to be extraordinary, I have to do extra things. I can't do more ordinary things and expect extra. So what are those extraordinary things? There's a ton of them out there. There's a plethora of things you can do. You can do cold plunges. You could do meditation. You could do whatever. You could run in the morning, whatever. You do that consistently. And then what you bring to the keyboard or to your clientele on the point of sale or your marketing is extra. It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's dynamic. You're more confident. You're resonating at a different frequency. The person subconsciously receives that. They're like,
Yep.
yeah, I like you. They don't even know it. I want to link up with this guy. Why?
Right.
You're managing your energy. You got more of it and you're allocating it in the right directions. Right? And so what's the result of that? Glory, joy, betterness, supreme happiness. It's good. It comes over time. Consistency is the key. And that's what the 5% have figured out. And so get around the 5% with today in 2024. Knowledge is everywhere. But what are we doing? We've got a phone in our hand that is arguably more powerful than what we used to go to space, right?
Yep.
Guys,
it is.
Knowledge is ubiquitous, right? It's everywhere. But the application of knowledge, that's still scarce.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's like, dude, it's like
execution, baby. You got to execute.
execution.
People can justify wasting time by just learning. And I mean, I do it constantly, but then apply it. If you're not applying, right? It's so important to apply that knowledge.
Apply it.
Otherwise,
apply it.
100%.
Apply it. And it's like life is like an algorithm, just like your device. If you start listening to people that are crushing it, the 5-10%, whatever, all right, keep it there. All right, and keep going, because it's like you don't have to get VHS tapes like we used to, right? 1999,
Right.
you order VHS stuff, put it. You got it right there on demand. It's like beer on draft, baby. Get it in there and start every day. Start, on your way to the gym. Listen to whoever is, crushing it, and so that data goes in here, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I can do this, and so little by little you start to grow. And so I think this is the most incredible time in the history of our known history where we can use technology in such a powerful way, leverage it to be that 5-10%. Anybody can do it. but it's a matter of what are you choosing to do today? What are you subjecting this to, this to, this to, this to? It's your choice. Plug into the right areas, get around the right people, and you'll see what happens, right?
And
Being intentional.
intentional.
Being intentional.
Absolutely. Being intentional. And that's what it takes. That's the commitment it takes to be, like you said, ultra or extraordinary, right?
Extraordinary. I love that you use that word because that's one of my favorite words because it's so simply broke down that and people always want the extraordinary result, but without the extraordinary behavior. They want the ordinary behavior to produce extraordinary results, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. And that goes for any sector out there,
Yep.
and it's like, the universe, if you will, has a way of responding, but there's just that break-in period that a lot of people cannot, unfortunately, and that's the thing, is that there's this break-in period phase where you have to have some faith. You got to have some faith. You got to be like, you know what? I may not see the results right away. This is the hardest part, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to be committed to doing this anyways. And that's one of the ingredients. The other one is consistency. It's like, I'm going to do this. I have faith. I don't see the results right now, but I'm going to do it anyways. That's the consistency part.
Yep.
And the other thing is, don't keep looking at the clock. Just do it day in and day out. Don't have all these false expectations. Humble. Be humble. Get in and do it. Live at your means, whatever it takes, because the results are worth it. Once you get past that break-in period, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, this manifested.
Yep.
This happened. That happened. And so I think that's the hardest part for people. Well, but once people start to see the fruit of it and they taste it, once the taste is there, then it's like, okay, yeah, I can keep doing this. This is great. And that's kind of where I like to, help people kind of, my team who I work with. This is kind of what I'm working on with them on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that's creating
Some
that
of the
mindset.
best lessons that can be taught to people, right? I mean, to be able to understand. I mean, this is just the nature of things. We get shiny object, we look over here, we get excited, then we get there. Oh, it's a lot harder than we thought. And we try, and then we, this sucks. And then we give up because we didn't see the immediate result. But there would be nobody with big muscles in the world if they didn't go to the gym and to go every single day, right? Like, you can't go there unless HGH and all that, but it still is going to take a few weeks, right? Like, you have to put in the work. You have to put in the reps.
Beautiful metaphor, man. That I use that metaphor a lot. It's just like going to the gym, man. It's the same thing. You're not gonna see all the things you're looking to see in the first couple of months of your training, dude. It's not gonna happen. But if you show up and you get around the right people and you have the right motivation and you're putting the right things in your body and you're doing those things, you will eventually let go of all this expectation, immediate result stuff. You just let go because you're like, I'm over it. I'm just going to do it anyways. That's when the gains come. Then you're like, oh my gosh, look at that, and then that's the fuel. That's the wind that continues to push your sail, push your sailboat across. So, and that's the part that, the people that have done it. Now, the other thing is, look, once you do it and you've got some gains, it's easy to fall back.
Right.
It's easy to
Get a
fall
little
back.
cocky.
Right. That's the next phase of our evolution.
Yes.
It's like, okay, and you may fall back. You may actually fall back. A lot of people fall back. I fell back. But that's okay too, like you were saying. It's like, okay, I need to taste falling back a little bit to get that contrast.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so even that's good. if it's
Whatever is or isn't, it's okay.
it's okay.
Because that's what it, like, we're always past tripping or future tripping, but not right here. Right. And if you just sit right here, everything's okay. None of it matters. None of the other stuff, right? It's all in our head.
100%.
Dude,
Now we're going deep.
I have so my son's ADHD, I found out. And since then me and my wife have been constantly helping him, putting him in classes and stuff for ADHD. And of course I realized that's exactly what I have. I mean, I'm lucky that I even have anything because my wife keeps me focused. But like with ADHD, one of the traits is that you create your own drama at times because of that contrasting. So like for me, and I've really noticed this, is that when things start going too well, that I start creating conflict to either push forward or like I can't just stay steady.
You do?
I create a lot. You
What?
might not know this about me, Craig.
Well, don't worry. I do too.
Yeah. So it's like, sometimes like, and I was talking to my mom about this, is that I really like the feeling now that I'm getting more and more aware of the way my mind and body and everything operates. Mm-hmm. Like I do like to have that contrast. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, now I can be more intentional about it and not have to like burn, back in the day, it was like, let's burn the boats completely. And then we'll do this new thing. And it's like, no, you don't need to do that. You can create contrast without doing that. But
you have said,
I like to feel the contrast.
You have said, I feel like we should just tear everything down and start over. Like
I do. I feel like that a lot.
Well,
I like that.
And there's something to that, but also it is like that. Like, and I'm not particularly because I just do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like it's like you create the drama because it's too boring. Right now is too boring. Nothing's happening. So I need to create some friggin' drama, right?
Yep.
And it's so hard to say it, right? It's so hard to like accept that that's the reality. But when you do, then, oh, okay. I see what I'm doing over there.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Got to call yourself out.
And then you see, like, what you're talking about here is beautiful because it's like, that's consciousness right there. That just what you just said. It's like, I'm aware of me doing this. Right? That's a good place to be, right? Because before we weren't even aware of it, right? Whatever it was, it was just like it was just happening, right? But we come to a place.
I'm sure everybody else was aware,
right? But we didn't get it. They were aware,
well aware
of the wake we're leaving behind, right? But so we come to a place through contrast and experience and growth. We're like, okay, at least I'm aware of this, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is a very poignant point in our evolutionary growth is that just the mere awareness of that allows us a small space, a little distance between the experiencer. There's a space created now. Okay, here it is. The experiencer and the content of experience. When we come to this place where we can now have sort of a zoomed out aerial view looking into the situation and saying, okay, I have a little space now. Then now there's a place that we can sort of delve into now. Now, this is the part where it gets a little esoteric. Is that, okay, I can watch these behaviors happen or these thoughts from a distance, but I don't have to identify with it anymore. Right. I have a more clear identity in who I truly am. And to your point, Craig, that immediately brings us to the present moment. Right? Because before, there was the future of possibilities, right? Which is anxiety, right? It's fear. False evidence appearing to be real. FEAR.
Oh, I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
So here you are in this, all your energy is going into this false evidence appearing to be real. All these possibilities, right? Or you're in the past, right? Woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? Which is, depression, right? But when we start to become more aware, as our mind sort of quiets down through the various techniques that we do, whatever it is, we start to see the space, and we start to see, okay, I am the knower. This is the process of knowing, and that's the known. There is a segmental space that's created. Now we come into a place of power, the power
Yes.
of now. Now we're in the moment. We have control.
Gabor Mate.
100%. Very good. Very good content. Very good content. And that's somebody I
Good
follow as
stuff.
well.
Yeah.
But that's the place where I call that that's a level of enlightenment, really. There's light and luminosity coming into our consciousness now. We are more conscious than we were before, and that is empowerment. And that's when things get a lot more exciting and more beautiful, because now we're not just a leaf in the wind. You know, we've taken ownership of our senses, and we come into a place of centeredness and balance. And then from this place, here it is, we start making better decisions, and we start committing less errors.
Yeah. Key word too, ownership, not control, right? There's a big difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference. And so these are higher. Now you're going into the higher states of consciousness. And so with the higher states of consciousness, then now here comes different vibrations. Here comes gratitude. Here comes patience. Patience. Holy shit. I never had patience.
That's why I'm on this planet.
Right.
I'm here to learn that lesson.
It gets
That's why
better.
I have ADHD.
Right.
Here you go. Learn patience.
yeah, exactly.
That's it. And once we start enacting these values that we're talking about, patience, long suffering, forgiveness, all these things, that is a different vibrational frequency. Now I'll get a little bit more esoteric here, but now we're resonating because we're putting this into the earth plane now. Whereas before it was different, right? We were committing different things, different thoughts. Now we're committing these different higher vibrations, and it's like, okay, well, then you're now signaling to the universe that which you are. And if that is what you are, then that is what will be coming into your life. You're like a receiver. And so you're signaling these virtues, right? And so what's going to happen? So success is going to find you. It's just the way nature works. You are the result of what you think, what you are, and that's what you manifest. And so if you have ordinary, you'll have ordinary. If you have, negative, you'll have negative. But if you have extraordinary positive, you'll have that. It'll find you. It's like currency, right? Currency is like a current. Money and success finds the right host, if you will. It's a good metaphor. So if we're vibrating at a level, then we are the host of benevolence, and it comes. But yes, there's patience. You have to, work, go to course, take the right course. But it will come. It will come, and it will settle. It's kind of like, if you have something sort of rotten laying around, what's going to come there, right? Maggots, flies, all kinds of things that are going to come there. They're attracted to that stench. But if you get cleaned up in life and you start to grow in your consciousness, what are you going to have? You're going to have beautiful things like maybe a flower, right? What comes to a flower? Bumblebee will come to a flower. It'll make honey, right? So something good's going to happen. So that's kind of the way I look at the value of this work. Now, insurance happens to be the vehicle we're doing it, but it transcends insurance. As insurance dudes, it's more of a, it's like, yeah, I'm using the vehicle of my insurance brokerage and insurance agency and insurance practice, but by virtue of doing all these things, I'm just becoming a better human being. I'm just becoming the person, my best version, if you will. So that's the fascinating part that I've learned, throughout this business that I've been doing.
I love it. I love how heady we've taken this, which is super cool. It's a privilege to get to a point that you can think about this kind of stuff and not just be in the daily grind. So anytime I have these kind of conversations, I know that old me, especially in the early days, would be like, these people are talking, who cares? Like, I'm working, but I like now being in the place that I'm at, it's like, I really appreciate that I do have the space to have these kind of thoughts and conversations.
And you see the impact that it has, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
fundamentally changing to everything.
Yeah. I mean, you start to see the fruit in your life, right? You start to see that, oh man, it's the simple things that make me happy. It's all about the love. It's all about the relationships that I have, with my spouse, my children. All of these things start to be like, you know what I used to think was success, it's changed. I've changed.
Yeah.
It's the little things that make me happy. It's the simple things. And that's real wealth to me. It's like, I'm content right now with everything that I have. And I'm just like, almost like desires start to fade because it's like, I'm good. I'm in this present moment awareness. I'm already in this really beautiful place. So things kind of float into your life, and you're okay with things that don't come into your life because you realize there's a reason for it. There's a rhyme and reason for things. So it's a beautiful place to get to, and it's liberating, to say the least, for sure.
But before we conclude, I definitely want to go over. You got the brokerage going. You almost went down the captive route. So I want to know from your perspective, like, a couple things. One is, I know there's a lot of shakeup in the captive world. How easy is it to get into the independent world for those agents that might be thinking about jumping ship?
Great question, man. That's a great question. And I get this question a lot nowadays because a lot of people are looking to shift, looking to come into the independent side. And so a lot of people ask me this. Well, to be quite frank, it's extremely difficult to start an agency. Doesn't mean it's impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that it's difficult because, we have the hard market, as everybody knows, and that's just not just California, that's every state. And with the hard market, these carriers are looking to reduce their risk. And so, just coming in as a fresh agent is highly difficult. So what you need, I mean, it's possible. There's a couple things I would say. I would say that, one, if you have capital, you can buy an agency. Now, that's cool. Not everybody has that amount of capital. But if you did, you could. And you could buy the agency and the appointments come along with it. But the problem is you don't have any experience. So the risk is that you don't know what you're doing. So you could ultimately, not do so well unless you are, extraordinary, and in which case you could make it anyways. But still, back to the question and the answer. You could buy an agency and you could probably get some consultants to help you. So that's one path, which requires, capital. The other one is, well, I'm going to do it from scratch anyways, Kash. How do I do that? Okay, well, you can do it. You can somehow get appointments by showing up to insurance conventions, for example, right? These insurance conventions that are all around the United States. You show up, and if you're a person that is persuasive and you have a business plan, you could probably get an appointment through a non-standard carrier, or you could work with a cluster group. Some of them will take you. You could work with general agencies, MGAs, and perhaps their appetites are surplus lines, but who cares? If you really want to do it, you can do it. Now, what's your cost for that? Time. Time. You don't have capital, you want to do it this way? Okay, time. So time is your most precious commodity. But if you're saying, hey, I can do it, I want to do it, I'll spend the next X amount of years, sure, you can do it. I support you. It's going to be a tough battle, but you can do it. Nothing is impossible. So I'll say that. Now, is there a third path? Yeah, there's a third path. The middle path, as it were, is you can join a franchise, for example. Right. So one of the things that I'm doing, that's kind of the project that I'm working on now, I've come to a place where, I've done so well with the agency. I'm going to be franchising the agency. So there are various franchises out there where they say, okay, look, you don't have experience and maybe you don't have a lot of capital, but you have grit, you have life experience, you have emotional intelligence. You can plug into our ecosystem. We'll give you support. We'll get you leads. We'll get you technology. We'll teach you the business. We'll get you service. We have CSRs that'll handle all the service. And we have markets galore, everything you think of. And so that person could say, well, that's the middle path. I'm not spending my time as much. I can collapse time. I don't have to come up with hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash. And so this could be the middle path. So that's kind of, it's beautiful that you asked me that, because I had that in mind when people asked me that so many times, where I came up with the Fadaie franchise idea. And so I took a couple of agents that were brand new, and they were my beta tests. They didn't have a lick of insurance experience, and they didn't have any capital. And they came in, and I wanted to prove to myself that, can I get these guys to cash flow? And I did, with the same model. And so I came up with the model. It worked. I have people that worked for Costco for 20 years that joined me. I have one guy that joined me about 11 months ago. He's at $1 million already in premium. I've got another guy who's a natural doctor from Costa Mesa. He came in about 2 years ago. He's at 2.5 million right now. And so I really wanted to make sure that I had this I had evidence for what I was going to, basically proliferate. And so I did. I came up with it. We're putting the franchise paperwork together. But there's franchises out there, and I would say that that's the middle path. So there's 3 paths. They're all viable. It just depends on you, and perhaps there are other paths, but those are the ones that I've sort of funneled out. And they're all good. They're all good. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Love it. Awesome, man. And then the other question is as an independent agent, broker owner, what are you seeing as the opportunities and threats going down the road here, going into the next year? And what are you thinking?
Beautiful question. I love it. Okay. So the opportunities are, and this is going to be, surprising to some. The opportunities are the hard market. Like, the hard market has been amazing for the person that did well through it. And so you have a choice. You could pound sand and complain, or you could leverage the opportunity. So the opportunity right now is that with whatever's going on, this is the beauty of insurance, is that it's recession proof, right? It doesn't matter where the economy is. People and society cannot part with insurance. So it's one of the best products ever, right? So it doesn't matter if rates are going up and you have less markets. Well, you go get markets. There's markets out there, and people still have to buy insurance. So go get the market, right? And write them up. And when you write somebody up, and they might complain, but that's that. It's just reality. They're going to pay it anyways because they need to protect their assets. They have to. So they do that. Now, that's a storage facility, I call it, a temporary storage facility. Now, if the market ever comes back down or whatever, you're a broker. You review that when it comes up, and you can move it elsewhere, right? But the relationship is not lost. As an independent broker owner owning an insurance agency, that relationship is never severed so long as we're doing right by the client. And that's the thing. You can go get markets. There is surplus lines. There's other markets that are coming in, and you can still make it happen. The other thing you can do is pivot to commercial. If you're not doing commercial right now, a BOP is like an HO3 policy. If you've done property insurance, a BOP is like an HO3. It's the same thing. You can learn it. There's nothing. It's not rocket science. It's easy to do. You have ChatGPT right now. You have so many resources. So pivot to commercial. That's another way where I see a huge benefit for, if you're strictly personal lines and you want to get into, you want to pivot, this is the time to do it. There's a lot of commercial business. Commercial market is still very, very viable, very soft. So those are the pros. Now, as far as the cons, man, gosh, I don't know. I guess I would say, could AI be so good one day where, it can literally take an agent out of their chair? I don't know. Possibly. Who knows? I mean, I don't know if it's immediate. Like, I don't think it's very soon, but I guess that would be my only concern. And so there's arguments to be made on both sides of that.
I'm sure there's a lot of arguments between lawyers on that right now.
And I'm sure it has to be.
Huh?
I'm sure it has to be driven by an agent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think agents in the future have a bunch of AI agents.
Okay.
But a human agent has AI agents.
Right, Jason. So that brings us to this point and this is really, really poignant, is you got, whoever you are, you got to embrace technology, man. Mm-hmm. Because if that were to happen, you need to be on the up and up. You need to be in that world, investing in technology for your agency, so that when these things start to emerge in the marketplace, you already have a handle. You already have a head start. If you're still using an Excel sheet and you don't have a management system and you're not embracing technology, and if that were to happen, you could be left behind, and it's not worth it. So to your point, I think embracing technology and being ready for that day is a very salient move to make. And so I've always believed, and goes back to our early part of our conversation, guys, was always be investing in your agency, whether it's technology, human capital, marketing, leads, whatever. Invest. Only the investors make it. Only the people that can take lemons and make lemonade are the ones that are in that 5-10%. Listen, the 5-10% will always make it in any condition, in any atmosphere, in any ecosystem. There's always a way, because we're the ones creating AI, right? So like, to your point, Jason, be ready for that day and be up on your technology. Make the right investments. If you don't make the right investments, then you're leaving yourself vulnerable.
Yep.
That's it.
100%.
So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, learn more about what you brought up about the franchise, and be a beta person or something like that. And I don't mean like beta versus an alpha.
No.
I just mean beta, like test it. A beta they? Can you be a beta they? Is there such thing? I don't even. Anyway, we don't want to get into that.
I think there's like this thing called Sigma now. That's like the Sigma is like the highest.
Oh, okay. And you know what? I don't know if I'm supposed to laugh or not. So I'm just gonna. So
no. Yeah.
Am I allowed to? Well, I'm not in California. So I'm in Arizona. I'm allowed to.
I'm in California.
You're not allowed to, for sure.
Yeah.
So
that's hilarious. No, man. So
the loser of the presidential race might have something to say about that.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Totally.
Okay. Well, how can they get a hold of you? Yeah. And I have
Absolutely, man. Thank you for that. So the beta testing is done, by the way. We've got proven concept. So now we're in the phase of franchising. But yeah, if you want to get a hold of me for any reason, I love helping people. I love educating people. I love motivating people. My name is Fadaie, my last name, Fadaie. If you go Fadaie Insurance on Google, you'll find my website. You can also email me at Kash with a K at FadaiEinsurance.com. I'm available. I'm engaged in the business. I love the business. So yeah, get a hold of me. I'd love to help.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, if we asked you to come back, would you come back on?
Dude, 100%, man. This has been such a fun time. Guys, you guys have such a great podcast. I love your energy. You bring the best out of me. So by all means, man, I'd love to come back and talk with you and chat more.
You should tell the listeners, if they're still on right now, that they should subscribe and, all that stuff.
Guys, actually, definitely. This is, if you're in the insurance industry, and you want to get, more gritty, nitty gritty with your, what you want to bring in and consume into your consciousness, this is an insurance related, podcast where you can get content that specifically speaks to where you are, where your pain points are, where you are in your journey. This is going to be a think tank environment where you can glean and absorb and be motivated to execute. Moreover, you can contact the people. Most of the people that come here, the guests, they would love to be contacted. I'm one of them. You can contact the people that are in there talking and actually talk to them. So subscribe, like, but more importantly, share. Share this with people that you know. Sharing is caring. Love you all. Thank you so much for your time.
Boom.
Awesome,
Mic drop. Thank you.
Woo!
We'll talk to you soon, man.
Guys, you guys are amazing. I love you. I appreciate you. Let's stay
Thank
in
you,
touch.
Cash. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Take care, brother.
God bless, man. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.